Hi there, in this video we'll talk a bit about data quality. So that's a thing that we often talk about, what is it exactly? So I'll try to go about a few things and how you can actually improve your data quality to make it even better for KPIs and what else you want to use data for. So the quality of the data is it's not an exact thing. It's very different and it varies depending on your use case. So sometimes quality may be good enough for this use case, but it may be not as good for another use case. So it very much depends on the situation, and that is something that you should be aware of. So first of all, bad quality could be that you may have inconsistent data. That means that you have some points and then at some point you're missing some things, and then later on comes some more things and so on. So you'll have these gaps in data. And that makes it very hard to show the progression over time, because suddenly you may have like a peak and then you have to explain what that is all about and so on. So that's something you should be aware of, consistent data. Which also leads me to another thing, that your update frequency should be good enough. So that means that if you want to show, let's say, how many sales you have a day, then if you don't update it every day, then that is very hard to show, obviously. So that means that maybe you will have, maybe you'll only log your sales once a week. So you may have to change a few things there. Which leads to the next one, which is that you should have a process in place with the data and with the systems that you use. So that if you log some times, for instance, you should have like a policy in the company to about like how often do we log these hours and what do the tasks look like, so we can compare if we want to do that and all that types of jazz. So get that in place before you start doing any manipulations with the data later on. The last thing is that you should be very much aware of changes in the process. So you may realize something when you work with data, and then later you'll have to change a few things. But that means that the data that you had before this time would actually be invalid now because you used a different method or something like that. So be aware of that as well. So only change it if it's needed, and maybe you want to correct some things along the way, but then you have to scrap something before that period of time. So it might even be good enough to continue with the same error so that you can compare the data if that is needed. I think that was about everything to tell you right now about data quality. There are obviously much more to think about, but those are some of the most important things that you should think about when you work with data, especially when it comes to KPIs. I hope that gave you something. I hope you have something to work with now. And let's just see you in the next video.